What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the 2021 NBA Draft. We are hanging out together and watching it go down as an internet family, which is really, for the last 18 months or so, the only family a lot of us have had. I am Faizal Khamisa. We've got a wonderful lineup of guests set to join me for the duration of the first round, starting with Sirat Sohi of The Ringer. Sirat, what up, man? How you doing?
Faizal, you scared me.
Sorry,
you terrified me. I don't know if you saw that. I hope you didn't.
I did I'm glad you jumped.
I did. I'm glad I didn't have anything on my table because that could have gotten really ugly. How's it going?
Good. How are you? What's going on? This is draft day, draft night, I guess. You excited?
I'm hyped. This is one of my favorite nights of the NBA. A lot of hopes and dreams.
For you?
True, so,
are you getting drafted?
I mean, I put my name in. I don't know if we'll see. Yeah.
I think
there's just, like the draft process, there's just a lot of optics involved.
Yeah.
Like a lot of politics. So I don't really know if it'll work out, but fingers crossed,
I don't break a lot of news. I can say with confidence, Sirat Sohi will not be drafted in the 2021 NBA draft. I'm just sorry for all the fans waiting to hear her name called. I just, my people are telling me right now that it's not going to happen, and I'm sorry if this is the first time you're hearing of this, Sirat. But
you might want to double check with your sources here, because I'm getting something different. I'm getting something different right now.
All right. Well, who's on the phone with you? Who's calling and saying, "Yo, we're going to draft you"?
My intuition.
It's literally just a dream. For those watching and kicking it here with us, we will get you the draft feed in a hot second. We don't want to waste your time. We're going to get there. When the pick is ready to go, we know there's a lot of fodder talk that goes on between or before the picks actually get going. So we will get you there. But of course, we thank all of you for joining us here on YouTube. Send your questions and comments in the chat as well, and I'll try my hardest to answer them through the course of the night. And we're going to have some fun here. This is exciting. We are watching the draft from a Raptors perspective, where I live, obviously in Toronto, where a lot of fans on this network obviously reside. This is an interesting time. For the first time in forever, they have a lottery pick, and it's a top 5 lottery pick as well. I imagine, you've covered this Raptors team. A player of good quality could help them get back into that playoff race pretty quickly, right?
Yeah, this is kind of exactly what they needed right now. It feels like they almost got a karmic boost for having to play the season in Tampa. Like, you're not going to make the playoffs, but we are going to give you a little bit of a booster here to get you going. Like, you slipped over a banana peel in Mario Kart, but here comes a ramp your way to help you out there. I love everybody in the top 4. I'm curious to see what we think the top 4 is. I guess. I think it's pretty clear. CADE Cunningham's probably gonna go number 1. Then it's gonna be either Jalen Green, Evan Mobley, or Jalen Suggs. I love all of those guys for the Raptors. Hearing a lot about Suggs, hearing a lot about Scotty Barnes also, who is like more in that 5th or 6th range. Maybe he'll drop. I don't know. I'm really excited. I feel like one domino effect is going to change everything on the board. There's obviously a lot of trade implications. I'm sure, as the Raptors do their homework, they suss out multiple scenarios. So I'm just excited to see what the one we actually get is at this point.
You mentioned trade talk. There was some rumblings about a Lakers, Wizards, potentially Sacramento Kings trade as well that would see Russell Westbrook end up with LeBron James and Anthony Davis. Your thoughts on that in its happenings right now? Not done, not nearly close to done, it seems like, but what would Russell Westbrook on the Lakers mean for that team?
Man, honestly, I'm still sort of wrapping my head around it. I was hoping that me and you could kind of try to unlock it a little bit. So,
okay, let's talk it out.
On its face, right away, it's like Russell Westbrook, not a great shooter, declining athleticism, going to a Lakers team that needed spacing and better playmaking to help set up LeBron and AD. So I'm kind of confused, I guess. On the other hand, though, you also have the other side of Westbrook, which is that he's an incredible rebounder, incredible transition player, and kind of fits some of the stuff that AD and LeBron do in that sense. And they can just really be, I can see some teams that they just are very physically imposing on. The other thing is just like Russell, the flip side of Russell being the point guard who like isn't a great playmaker is also that he has never really played with a great playmaker before.
Yeah.
So, you know, those LeBron look-aheads to AD, you can cover one of those if you get back fast enough. I don't know if you can cover Russ and AD at the same time. So, I don't know. You don't never really know until you get guys on the court.
Yeah.
I'm a little hesitant to completely dismiss it because, you know, 2 years ago, Lakers loaded up on big guys and everybody was like, what are you guys doing? And it turns out that it won them a championship because nobody could win to compete with them in the paint. And it looks like CADE just got drafted. So
there he is. Yeah, first pick in the draft, not Sirat Sohi, unfortunately. CADE Cunningham. I know.
Second round sort of thing, or maybe the Raptors have a great developmental program that my agent anyway. You can go now, do your job if you're professional. I just wanted to clear up things, you know.
Oh man, listen, we're not going to be spoiling things for you here as well. We're not going to say, hey, so and so is tweeting that this person will be the next pick in the draft. If you want to waste your time and not have the excitement, adrenaline rush through your body, you can go on Twitter, but you're here with us on YouTube because you want to see this thing happen in as close to real time as possible. CADE to Detroit was always going to be the #1 pick. What do you make of the Detroit Pistons? You know, again, they were trying some things over the last few years, didn't work out, got rid of Blake Griffin, obviously, and now needed a new face to kind of reinvigorate that fan base, that franchise, and CADE feels like he could be that guy for that team.
Yeah. I think it's really interesting that they have now added like the ultimate offensive piece with a team full of guys that have a lot of defensive potential. It's interesting. Like I wonder if he'll have like enough playmaking in order to actually get them to the playoffs. Like that's kind of what I've been thinking about with the Pistons, because last year they drafted Sadiq Bey and Isaiah Stewart, who are going to be a year better. They are really good defensively. And then you also have Jeremy Grant, another great 3-and-D player who made a huge leap last season, but isn't quite the playmaker that CADE is. This actually kind of really, the Pistons looked like they could be a mess last year in terms of just not having enough guys that can space the floor, but this might actually balance them out in the right way. And I think they're a sleeper pick to make the playoffs next year.
Okay, throwing out bold season predictions on draft night. I love that. We're going to write these down and forget about them tomorrow, but that is great. Listen, again, picks 2, 3, 4. Sirat's going to join us for the Raptors pick here on 4 and tell us what it means for them and that team as well. Of course, national writer. She writes for The Ringer. Her work is unbelievable. Spent some time in Toronto. Now, where are you? Sorry, I didn't want to say it myself because I don't want people to chirp, you know, me for letting people know, but Canadian bred. We'll just leave it at that. Canadian bred, and you should be following her and following up on her work on theringer.com. It looks like the Rockets have some time. There's obviously a bunch of time between these picks. We generally know who the first few will be, but we'll allow for the time to kind of play themselves out. Sirat, if there was a trade you wanted to see, a player move you wanted to see during draft night tonight, and maybe that's Ben Simmons or maybe it's somebody else, who would that player be?
It's a blessing. You've said that your mom, your
Sorry,
dad, your daughter,
can you say that again?
Okay, can we try this all again? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
All right, cool. If there was a player that you predict would be moved tonight, maybe it's Ben Simmons, maybe it's somebody else, who would that player be?
With Ben, it feels like, obviously Ben is a big Raptors trade target, but it feels like they are still in the place of trying to build up value for him. We're seeing a lot of ridiculous Ben Simmons deals out there, and that strikes me as why. We saw obviously the one that the Raptors expeditiously shot down. And so I think it's gonna be a while till we see a Ben deal, but with Westbrook now being traded, I kind of wonder if Beal is the next guy on the board.
Sorry, you don't think Lowry, OG, Pascal Siakam, Fred VanVleet, the 4th pick, and a couple pick swaps are enough to get Ben Simmons there? Like, you don't think that's fair?
No, I think, honestly, there could be a big deal. I know you're joking, but there could be a big deal. You could center around some of the younger guys that could come back. Like, if you bring back a Tyrese Maxey or a Matisse Thybulle.
There is some reporting out there suggesting that the Raptors and Cavs are talking about the number 3 pick right now. Obviously, the Raptors have 4, Cavs have 3. We know Evan Mobley is still on the board. Many project him to be an unbelievable long-term player in the NBA right now. So we will, again, not spoil things for you, but we'll keep you posted on some of the reporting going down. Massive baseball trade right now, too, by the way. Evan Mobley, again, Cavs have the next pick. listen, he's a guy that could probably slot into a bunch of different rosters right now and do very, very, very well. What do you make of this fit here? What do you make of this fit, the all-black outfit from CADE Cunningham? Sarah, what's your thoughts?
It's a strong pick.
Yeah.
You know, obviously, I saw the picture of Jalen Green. We'll probably see that later today.
Yeah.
This feels more like when you know that this picture might be out in the ether for the next 20 years or so, you want to play it safe. It's like your wedding night or your prom. Oh, did he really?
Yeah, he said, I don't want to be a meme in 20 years. You know, looking back at some of the guys from the drafts from the early 2000s and obviously beyond that as well. The long, like, curtains that they were wearing, you know? So he said, I just want to play it safe, like exactly like you said. Very strategic already pretty wise, this kid, you know, thinking about the future.
Absolutely. You know, long-term thinker. I think he knows he's going to be great for a long time, so he's been preparing, you know. I like the vision.
All right. The Houston Rockets pick is in. Not drafted yet, but we will, of course, be hearing their pick in just a second. We all expect it to be Jalen Green. We saw him on a private jet that was reportedly Tillman Fertitta, the owner of the Rockets' private jet. I don't know if Tillman charged him or not to actually ride that jet, but that is a whole different conversation. So it's expected that he will be the number 2 pick. Again, reporting that the Raptors and Cavs are talking about the number 3 pick. We heard some talk about that. The Raptors looking to maybe move up if the right player was there. And there is Jalen Green, drafted second overall, diamond-studded suit. It looks unbelievable with the hair out, the chain in the middle of the T-shirt. People yell at me when I wear a T-shirt on TV, but this guy's allowed to do it, which means I get to do it justifiably as well. That is a strong outfit for today. I don't know how that's going to look in 15 to 20 years, Sirat, but who cares? It's his moment right now.
He also apparently enjoys regularly eating purple Skittles and dancing. I love these fun facts.
Look at these little fun facts.
Yeah. First of all, just this fit. This fit is incredible. I think it's probably like the boldest choice you could make. The anti-CADE Cunningham, if you would.
Yes.
Which is actually not that dissimilar to Jalen Green as a prospect either.
We have a report saying that Russell Westbrook, 2024 second-round pick, 2028 second-round pick to the Lakers for Kyle Kuzma, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Montrezl Harrell, and the number 22 pick. So, Sarah, that did not take long to finalize. Russell Westbrook will indeed be a Los Angeles Laker. I am so intrigued to see how that team will continue to round itself out and how that will work on the court, and I'm sure you are too.
Yeah, I'm excited. You want we can go back to that if you want.
Sure. Yeah, we can go back to that.
Yeah, I mean, well, what do you think? Like of the two kind of different scenarios that I threw out, what do you think is more likely to happen between them actually being able to zig and turn into this like just fast paced, get everybody down the floor, pummel everybody's team versus and also that's kind of what happened finals.
You're asking a lot of LeBron James, right? Like, who's just getting older and older, and we keep wondering and waiting to see him actually physically break down. He's not there yet, and listen, if Space Jam 2 was any indication, he's not ready to break down just about yet, but you're asking a lot when you're throwing Russell Westbrook in that offense. He likes to go fast, he likes to go hard, and you mentioned it off the top when we touched on this trade. LeBron's going to have to play a lot of makeup defense for a lot of guys on this team, at least right now. Look, it's July 29th. The season doesn't start for a while. There are some things that they could do to adjust their team, but my God, like, sure, it's great to have stars, and I think, if you're Los Angeles and you're the Lakers, you're built on an ecosystem of having star players play on your team and then figuring out how to make it work. And if LeBron James is at the helm, it's probably pretty good, but I don't know right now. It confuses me a little bit. When I saw the Buddy Hield rumors, I was like, this makes sense. You put a good shooter around AD and LeBron, this makes some sense. This one to me doesn't, other than name value.
What does it mean to you to be the number 2?
Yeah, I thought Buddy Hield would also I think it just, like you said, makes more sense in terms of just as a basketball player. He's like one of the best. He's not just a good shooter. He's one of the best shooters in the league. He's a high volume shooter. I'm curious to see now we can have some other teams kind of getting in now that we know, okay, like the Kings are ready to start letting go of Buddy Hield. And then, I don't know, maybe you see some Kings dominoes start to fall too. So I'm really curious to see what happens with that. But when it comes to the Lakers, like, it's, I think a lot of the defensive stuff is going to fall onto AD this year. But another guy that you don't necessarily want to put a lot of pressure on in the regular season either. So I don't know. I'm super curious. These obviously these guys know basketball. I'm sure they're going to be trying to surround the rest of the team with floor spacers. I imagine this was more of a scenario of like, look, Russell Westbrook is available. Let's see what we can do to get him on our team. And I think ultimately, like, looking at what they gave up, this clearly makes the Lakers a better team. And with that package, I think what they probably realized is that you're not going to get some of the upper tier stars in the league. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, look, again, you have LeBron, you have AD. That's a pretty good two to start with. And then throwing a guy like Russell Westbrook. Look, he went to Washington. Many people thought, oh, I don't know, this is not going to work. This is not going to work. And he balled out for them at the end of the season. He helped get them into that play-in tournament, had fans optimistic. They probably gave, you know, that 1 year experience about as good of a rating as you could get for what it was. And now maybe he's a little bit motivated to adjust his game a little bit differently, knowing there's a very legit chance that this team could contend for an NBA title. So it'll be interesting to see. This is what I love about this night, because there's so many pieces that move, right? And we don't know how they're going to work, but it's fun to speculate. And then obviously it's fun to be proven wrong when things happen in the season as well. I actually wanted to ask you this off the top. Where does draft night rank for you amongst the NBA calendar events?
Oh, it's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
I love draft night just because it's like you watch all of these hopes and dreams, like we said, come true. Maybe mine, maybe somebody else's, I don't know. You know, you never know. But no, I love draft night. You know, you get to see the families and everything. I actually honestly feel like I kind of prefer the Zoom version of it though, because you see everybody hugging and stuff. Yeah. I really love that. So I'm kind of missing that element this year, but it's just, it's cool. Everything in the lead up to the draft and it is awesome too. So I like that. Obviously the NBA Finals. Yeah. There's nothing like the NBA Finals. That's number 2 for me.
Cleveland's pick is in. Let's talk about that, because you did some unbelievable work with regards to the NBA Finals. You wrote a nice piece on Giannis as well, and a lot going on there. What'd you make of this Finals? Because a lot of people said, oh, look at it, Phoenix, Milwaukee, not as appealing on paper, but it was a pretty damn good series.
I thought it was like the Cavs have just picked Mobley, but for that series, I thought that series was great. It was kind of like this melding of like two different sort of basketball, I don't know, philosophies, if you want to call them. And ultimately, I think what happened is just that the Bucks got proven right when I think for the entire season it was like, well, I mean, you can't do this, like for Giannis, right? Like you can't win a championship without having a 3-point shot. Bud's going to have to make all these adjustments, which he did, but they never actually got away from the fact that they wanted to protect the rim more than anything else. And on the other end, they were like, Giannis was like, no, I actually can keep pummeling the rim over and over again. So I thought it was just a really interesting series. Definitely proved wrong, like a lot of what I thought about the finals. I had the Suns going in because it was just like, okay, you have two great clutch scorers, and like I thought with both CP and Book at the same time that it was just going to be really difficult to stop them both, and that they were actually well situated to score on the Bucks defense, which they were, but the math just didn't matter. Like it was mid-range jumpers versus dunks and threes.
Evan Mobley, by the way, the 3rd overall pick. So no trade with Toronto with regards to getting that pick. So that means they are on the clock, their earliest pick in forever, the number 4 pick. Jalen Suggs, Scotty Barnes, those are some of the names we've heard with regards to this pick here. If you're in the chat, you can let me know who you think the Raptors should take here. If you're in the chat, I know you're saying a couple different things right now, but that is all good. Range Rover Allwood. Evan Mobley, followed by Drake, apparently, as well. Here's interesting. I'm still waiting for that one. And if you get drafted, I imagine he'll follow you as well, Sirat. But it's a pretty cool flex, I guess you can say, followed by Drake. Not in Toronto, though. All right. Jalen Suggs, Scotty Barnes, you let me know in the chat, with what's going on. Y'all are angry in the chat, but that's okay. Well, I know why, but that's okay. That's okay. Don't worry about that. That's okay. I mean, we appreciate all that. A lot of people saying, the Raptors should trade this pick to try to get Ben Simmons. A lot of people saying Suggs. I don't think the 4th pick for Ben Simmons would really work for the Raptors here. They have a chance here. Look, the Raptors. Look, Sarah, I'm confounded by this Raptors roster a little bit. Obviously, they're a roster build up without Kawhi. Obviously, that still was really good pre-bubble, pre-COVID, 2 seasons ago now, right? And they made the second round Game 7 against the Boston Celtics. Didn't go their way, and this was such an intriguing year because they played in Tampa. they still had a general makeup of a team that was a playoff contender for so many years, and things just didn't go their way. Do you think it needs to be overhauled completely, or you think a piece or two can help build this team back into a playoff, consistent team for the next couple seasons? Because we're hearing a lot of rumors about trades involving a guy like Pascal Siakam, maybe OG Anunoby, Kyle Lowry, obviously not quote-unquote a Raptor right now, but sign-in trades involving him as well. But I still feel like there's a nucleus here that could do some damage.
Yeah, I think if anything, after the season last year, I think it's harder to evaluate and make decisions about who certain players are, just because the Tampa situation, as the Raptors start to open up about it a little bit more, it's very clear that it was more difficult than anybody could have anticipated. It's really hard to evaluate after a season like that. And you also have, Pascal Siakam, who we found out was hurt throughout the season as well. And then I think, sometimes it just starts to go down the line, right? Like then all of a sudden Fred VanVleet is a little bit overstretched in a role that he shouldn't be playing. So then how do you evaluate what he should be doing, right? So I think it's difficult. Obviously, anytime somebody like Ben Simmons is available for a trade, you definitely have to speculate. But I also think that with some of these, as the offseason continues to wear on, and with some of the packages that the Raptors put together, maybe they want to swing a little bit bigger if they actually want to contend, because they definitely have the pieces. But honestly, when it comes to most trades, I would really stand pat if I was the Raptors. Yeah. I think most of these guys that they have are going to be lower value because of what happened in Tampa. So even if you do want to trade somebody down the line, let's say somebody like Pascal Siakam, his ceiling is still the roof. Just because he had a bad season doesn't really change that, espally when you consider everything being up to it, and the fatigue, the championship, and then the COVID, the movement, and everything. And also you got to add the fact that I imagine he was just a little bit overstimulated in terms of his development with all that he's being asked to do so quickly. Up until that point, he had actually rolled with the punches and turned into the number 2 guy, number 2.5, 3 guy on a championship team. And he clearly wasn't able to be the number 1 guy, but he's still really young. He's still, he's still got a ton of potential. So I'd stand pat on that. If you can get Simmons without him.
Here's their pick, by the way. Here's their pick, by the way.
Yeah.
And it is Scotty Barnes. Scotty Barnes. Florida State's Scotty Barnes. Wow.
I love it.
Okay, why? Tell us why. Tell us why. Talk to me.
They would do this.
Talk to me.
This is actually so Raptors. As we know, like a lot of teams, they have their own individual draft boards, right? Where they don't really pay too much attention to what else is going on. I love Scotty Barnes. I have in my notes. I'm going to tell you a couple things about Scotty Barnes. Scotty Barnes' dad grew up watching the Spurs. The Spurs were his favorite team, and you can see that in pretty much everything Scotty Barnes does and says. He's been asked who does he compare himself to, and he compares himself a lot to. Is that oh my god! I'm
Fun fact.
Simu Liu.
Simu Liu and I went to Western together at the same time, and he turned out like this, and I turned out like this. Anyways, you were saying.
He must be so jealous of you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, Scotty Barnes is a Spurs fan. He's an incredible intuitive defender. Think about all of the things. I think Raptors fans are very familiar with Jonathan Kuminga, for example, right? Yeah. So think about Jonathan Kuminga, but without the inconsistency, the lapses in the footwork, and the rawness that was going to prevent him really from being a contributing factor right away. Scotty Barnes has all of the athletic potential that a guy like Kuminga has, but is also farther along defensively and as a playmaker. He's a really great playmaker. He's been compared to Ben Simmons. He's been compared to Draymond Green, which is, I guess, where the rub is. He's not a great jump shooter. His jump shot is still developing. He actually shot it pretty well last year at Florida, progressively throughout the year. It's something that I do believe can improve. And also, I think Scotty Barnes wanted to go to the Raptors. I was watching his press conference a couple days ago, and he was kind of smiling at all the Raptors questions, and he was also very, very complimentary of the developmental program. and the way that it's helped different guys go to the G League and be able to learn, you know, how to shoot. So I think he's actually going to be pretty excited to get down here and get to work. I'm so hyped for this pick. I'm so glad they went with it.
A lot of people are not, like fans, obviously. They're shocked. They see Jalen Suggs. They see what he was able to do in college. They see the confidence and the swag that he kind of has as well. And they're like, because they've heard that this guy is the 4th pick and things are supposed to start generally after this pick. So there's a lot of shock on the timeline in the chat right now, which is not surprising. And wow, yeah. I mean,
I would put it this way. I mean, I think there's a lot of people that didn't know about Scotty Barnes, and there are a lot of people that did know about him.
Yes.
There's a reason that Scotty Barnes has gone, and you know, just he's really shot up the draft board a ton. You know, shout out to his agent, obviously, for that. But like more than anything else, I think it just shows you like this is kind of what happens when teams that are really focusing on the draft start to really do their homework. Certain guys start to move up, and honestly, like, when it comes to conventional wisdom versus the Raptors, historically, I'm going to trust the Raptors.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. I was going to say their front office has earned slightly more than a benefit of the doubt, given their history of not only selecting and developing players, but just in general. And so I know there's a lot of people that research up to the draft and they're diehards and they feel a certain type of way, but I feel like you should just give a benefit of the doubt to the front office, a tiny bit.
Yo, anybody who doesn't like this guy, go down a YouTube wormhole. Like, you will come out converted. He is awesome. He is one of the smartest defensive players I've ever seen at his age. Played at Florida State. Seems like, here's the thing about playing at Florida State, by the way. They are defensive minded, and there isn't a lot of emphasis on offensive development either. So that is a part of his game that, while it's a little bit underdeveloped, it's also a function of where he chose to go to school. He chose to go to a place that was going to not only give him defensive fundamentals, but like teach you how to be physical and teach you how to almost cheat in the correct way on defense, you know, just learn the little tricks of the trade. So I think it's, you know, making an intentional pick like that for him, that shows me that he's kind of the type of guy that you like, but he's also extremely energetic. And I think he understands, you know, from watching the Spurs maybe, but even just, you know, I don't know where this comes from, but he has this ability to redefine what a room looks like when you walk into it. Like, he just kind of has that level of energy. I'm really talking about.
You got me hyped. You got me hyped a little bit, Sarah.
He's really good, and he's exactly the type of guy that doesn't get enough hype. I think he's going to be really good.
Listen, if you get drafted over the next, 3 hours, make sure you come join us again. This was so dope and so fun to have you hang out with us here, Sarah. Thank you so much for kicking it here with us.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Good luck with the rest of the show. I'll be watching.
Thank you. Speaking of the rest of the show, we're going to take a quick break. More of the NBA Draft 2021 live on Sportsnet coming up on the other side. We'll see you in a second. All right, what is going on, everyone? Welcome back. NBA Draft 2021 live on Sportsnet. Faizal Khamisa. We got Iman from Dishes and Dimes joining us right now. If you don't know, Dishes and Dimes, very much the last season Rookie of the Year when it comes to content creation. All female podcast, holding it down for the Raptors in Toronto and representing themselves on a massive scale, growing as well. Iman, so pumped to have you here. Look, Orlando just made their pick. It was Jalen Suggs. Iman, many people think it should have been the Raptors taking Suggs at 4. Instead, they go Scotty Barnes. I want your initial reaction to the Raptors pick, please.
Insane amount of laughter, just because it's so funny that everything was just like built up. You tank for a full season basically, and everything leads to this one moment, and everyone wants it to be Suggs, and the Raptors, like they want to do, they just go off script and, and go for the pick that most people aren't expecting, but it's worked out for us in the past. I mean, people wanted Scalabissier when Pascal Siakam was drafted, right? Like it's worked out.
Sure. So you think this front office deserves a tiny bit of benefit of the doubt, right?
I think so. I think that they've earned that a little bit with their draft history.
Yeah. I can't believe the timeline. It is pure mayhem right now. When that pick was made, everybody was quote tweeting with anger because they see Jalen Suggs, and Sierra did a good job right now talking about how Scotty Barnes is almost as much of a game changer in a different way, right? They see the defense, they see the ability to be tough and be hard, and that doesn't translate to eyeballs as much as some of the offensive smoothness that Jalen Suggs has, but you still need to play some defense to win in this league, right?
If we're actually looking at these prospects outside of where everyone's hearts are, if we're going to break down these prospects, Scotty Barnes kind of projects as more of a Raptors type of player. If you're talking about his build, his wingspan, defense, and just the upside that he has, they haven't really gone for the sort of flashy guy who can maybe score buckets, and like it's never really been the Raptors calling card. They like a hard-nosed, gritty guy with the intangibles, and that's what Scotty Barnes projects as.
And that fits the Toronto mold to a T, you know, just a guy that many people don't believe should be where he is, but he'll just come and prove you wrong and continue to fit perfectly amongst the players that are there. Do you think this draft pick means anything for the current state of the roster right now? You think maybe Pascal has moved, dare I say even an OG has moved, or other things are kind of in the works here?
I do, yeah. I don't think OG is going to be touched at all. Like Scotty Barnes might be moved, right? Like,
right. Honestly, you're right.
There's so much still going on. I think maybe if you picked who the consensus number 4 was, everyone might think it's a little bit more status quo. But the Raptors going off the board a little bit can mean anything right now.
Right.
Kyle is older, and that might mean that his timeline doesn't really fit with what the Raptors are trending towards right now. So it'd be really interesting to see.
I don't know if there's a bigger Kyle Lowry advocate in the whole world than you. And listen,
me and Miss Marie Holloway.
It's true. That's his mom, for those who don't know. And you do God's work on the timeline defending the hell out of Kyle Lowry right now. Kyle Lowry's going to get a bag this offseason no matter what. There are teams that probably should have traded for him, and we clown them every day on the timeline because they did not win the NBA championship. I'm looking at you, Philly. I'm looking at you, Lakers, although you picked up a point guard right now. Fine.
They could use him right now, too.
Yeah, straight up. Eh? So I want to give you a platform here to defend Kyle Lowry, and just, you know, for those who are still haters, tell them why they're wrong.
Kyle Lowry's been responsible for the winningest era in Toronto sports in my lifetime, at the very least. For any Toronto sports team outside of the Toronto, like not just the Toronto Raptors, although he has been the winningest Toronto Raptors player. He is, you know, the blue-collared, hard-nosed guy that we all love to see in all of our sports teams, except he's also the best player on a team. Like, how often do you get to mix that blue-collar worker with the all-star? It's very rare that those two come together, and we get that with Kyle. He does everything. He's everything that your team needs in all of the right moments, and an NBA champion.
So the sixth pick goes to OKC, by the way. We're about a minute away from seeing that on stream. Again, we don't do spoilers here on the Draft Watch Party. We are just going to let the picks come in. If you want the spoilers, just go in your timeline.
Are something, huh?
Well, I want to ask you about this dude, because we're asking Sarah for her opinions as well. And Jalen Rose has got something going on there as well. What's your thoughts we just saw Jalen Suggs. Your thoughts on the drift so far?
You know what, Jalen Suggs, Jalen Green, Kuminga, they look great. You know what? It's gonna be one night where you're featured. Come out dressed to impress. I still remember Andrew Wiggins' draft day suit. Do you still remember it? It had flowers. It was like a black and white floral print tailored suit. I mean, people are gonna remember this for years to come. Like looking back at the 2000s where they're wearing oversized like suits compared to what these guys are wearing now. I mean, it's a step up. Come out like a disco ball if you want.
They were wearing curtains in the 2000s. They were wearing literal over their bodies to match. Here's the OKC pick, by the way.
Is it wrong to say, you know, when you watch Jenny Craig ads and you see people in suits and it's like the before and after? Is it wrong to say that that's what LeBron James looked like on draft night? Is it wrong to say that that's what Tracy McGrady looked like on draft night?
Oh man, I love that. Here's Josh Giddey from Australia, the OKC pick number 6. Look,
nice. That was higher than expected.
Yeah, Memphis made a trade a couple days ago, and people thought they loved him at 10. They wanted to get him at 10. Obviously not the case. There's Henry Golding as well, by the way. All right, Snake Eyes in theaters now. Some really weird celebrity appearances for some of these teams. But
maybe he had a connection to Australia and Josh Giddey there first.
Maybe Oklahoma City. I don't know. Actually, I think he is. Got some Australian in him now that I think about it, but I'm stupid. I don't know anything. But this is a bit of an off-the-board pick. Look, the Raptors started the off-the-board picks, then at 4 they're picking Scotty Barnes. So we'll see where the rest of this goes. What have you made so far of the dealing that's gone down? The notable one, obviously, Russell Westbrook to the Lakers. Your thoughts on how they're going to figure out how to play with all those guys that, they play hard, but not a lot of defense there either.
Not a lot of defense is one thing, and then on the offensive end, not a lot of floor spacing. So kind of like, where's the trade-off? What was the benefit in trading for a guy like Russell Westbrook? He's not really helping with either side of the ball for the Lakers. Russ is a great player, not to detract anything from his talent, but he's not a floor spacer, which is precisely what the Lakers needed, and they're trading away some of their floor spacers in order to get him. So it feels incomplete, but I don't know what else the Lakers really have to move in order to win anything. It feels just like a big name for a big name, and I don't know.
That's what I was saying. Like the Lakers, they're built on this, ethos of we need star players to help drive the content here. And Russell Westbrook, look, he may not be the Russell Westbrook of a few years back, MVP Russell Westbrook, but he was pretty gangster for Washington last season, helping lead them to that play-in, and he was balling. Look, again, it's Washington, right? They don't have a lot to work with. He needed the ball in his hand. I don't think he'll have as many touches with the Lakers, but they like the star power there in LA, and this certainly fits that mold, right?
Yeah. Russ was great for the Wizards in the back half of the season. I just wonder what the Lakers are going to do to fix the problems that they had. One is they were so successful because of their defense last year, and obviously they are taking a step back there. But number two is their floor spacing was their issue, and he doesn't do anything to really improve that.
Yeah, not even close. Not even close. Listen, we appreciate all of you guys in the chat as well. Hope you're enjoying the NBA Draft 2021 live watch party here on Sportsnet. Yvonne from Dishes and Dimes hanging out with us right now. Tell us a little bit about Dishes and Dimes, its inception, and how the last year or so has been for all you guys.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, well, Dishes and Dimes came about because of Sandy, who unfortunately couldn't join us today, but wanted to be here. All of us really recognize a need for female voices in these spaces. We're avid fans. We follow the game. We understand the game, and we're fans, and we didn't see our voices represented enough in media. So instead of waiting for opportunities, we decided to create our own, and Sandy is the one who ignited everything and got us all together. And we are 7 women with strong, opinionated voices. We're not always going to agree with each other, but we all have very strong takes, and we put out a podcast that comes out every Monday. We do video content. We're kind of all over the place.
Including here with me right now. It's at Dishes Dimes Pod. At Dishes Dimes Pod on Twitter. And if you haven't followed them right now, you are certainly behind. So I would do that right now and make sure you're in the know. Listen, we heard Bobby Webster talk yesterday yesterday about bringing draft prospects in, giving them a Toronto experience room. All right. I want to know what's in there. I don't know what's in there. I think I'm going to have a chance to talk to Bobby Webster after everything is done tonight. I'm going to ask him. But if you walked into a Toronto experience room, Iman, what would you need to see to make sure that that room was authentic?
Okay, I've been thinking about this for so long.
Okay.
It's just been, I would kind of want, like, there's my all-time Toronto room. Can I give you like my all-time Toronto
give
room?
us everything.
Okay, because I would want like a speaker corner, right? Like, just a throwback. Just have that in there. But I think you would need to have like a Shoppers Drug Mart and like a Timmy's around. Like I need my, like, if I'm stuck in Tampa, I need something that's familiar to me. And those are my 2 late night runs. What would I need? Like, I would need really good food spots. Like, I would need to know that there are really good food spots. And like, I need West Indian food. I need South Asian food. I need like Italian food. I just need all of the variety of food spots that Toronto has, number one. And then, you know, just can I get like the CNE for like a week? Like,
the whole CNE in a room. Just want like a ride or like 2 rides to make a room right now. Yeah. That's amazing. I was going to say a Toronto experience room to me, like when I walk in, I want to see stalled traffic on the DVP. Like I want to know I'm home, you know? I want to know that this is what I'm getting. I want snow to be falling in a corner, Drake music to be blasting on one side while Nav music is blasting on the other side while Bieber is blasting on the yes.
Layout that they have.
I want subway delays. I want Yonge and Eglinton represented in a room where it's just construction forever and ever. That to me is the real Toronto experience.
That gives me anxiety. Like, COVID has protected me from those things that you just named. And I have anxiety thinking about all of that.
Sorry, I brought that up.
Like, it's almost 9 and I'm stuck on the King Street car. Can we move?
I'm sorry for making you triggered like that. That's funny. Listen, I want to know your opinion on a hypothetical, trade talk that was going down over the last couple days, all right? Kyle Lowry, Pascal Siakam, OG Anunoby, Fred VanVleet, the 4th pick, dishes and dime pods rights for Ben Simmons. Your thoughts on why you think that deal didn't happen?
I mean, why didn't he, like, ask for a firstborn child at that point? Like, why stop there?
I don't know if Fred VanVleet's kid was also in that deal. I don't know.
Fred Jr. was included. No, but it, like, here's what I genuinely think about that deal. Okay, so 2 things. One is, we heard that Daryl Morey say that, he didn't specify Masai Ujiri, but we can believe that he was talking about Masai Ujiri when he said he's been talking to, other executives who were in La La Land about certain deals. And so to me, it kind of felt like, okay, well, you gave us this crazy deal in order for us to get Kyle. You want Ben Simmons, or we're going to throw a crazy deal your way that you're never going to agree to. It kind of felt a little petty to me, to be honest. And then I think the other thing beyond that is lots of teams right now are kind of circling and they smell blood in the waters right now around Philadelphia, especially with reports that Ben Simmons isn't answering phone calls or anything like that. So, I think this is just Daryl Morey's way of saying we're absolutely not going to trade him for anything less than a package that we want back. Like, we're not getting rid of him just to get rid of him. You're going to actually have to give us something of value. Of course, that is not a deal that he expects the Raptors to ever make.
But the optics to me look bad, because if he's not picking up the phone and no one can get in touch with him, he knows he's gone. We heard what Doc Rivers said in his press conference when the Sixers were eliminated from the playoffs. We heard what Joel Embiid said when the Sixers were eliminated from the playoffs. It all looks like they were bleeping on Ben Simmons. If you're Daryl Morey, I don't know if you have a ton of leverage here, no?
I mean, I don't think so, which is why I think he's being as playing such hardball right now, because it's not just the Raptors that he's giving these crazy deals to. He told the Warriors that he would expect 7, 14, Wiseman, Wiggins, and 2 firsts, and 2 future firsts.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, for a guy that you're not speaking to, that's a whole lot. But I do think that they're probably realistically trying to wait out for a Dame or a Beal or a situation like that, and it'll be interesting to see if that happens.
Oh man, I don't know if it'll be tonight or not. I know there were some reports out there that suggested they were trying to trade him tonight. That could have just been conjecture to get teams to pony up their best offers and get things going. But so far, no move on that regards. With the biggest trade today, obviously, the Russell Westbrook deal. A lot of moving pieces there. Ricky Rubio is going to Cleveland. Landry Shamet going to Phoenix for Jamon Carter, the 29th pick as well. Brooklyn, sneaky. They got 27, 29, 44, 49, and 59 in the draft as well. Look, we know they've got those stars to build around. They do need some young players to help.
Cheap players.
That's what I was saying. Young, cheap players to help make things work there. They're going to have a chance to either package those to get one or draft a couple late in that draft and hope one sticks around. So, that's pretty good for them. I mean, it's hard to project how things are going to go in the NBA at this point. It's July, right? Free agency doesn't open until next week, and we know how crazy things get then. With regards to just the Raptors, because again, I felt like the Tampa year is one that we're just all going to collectively erase from our memories. Men in Black memory eraser thing in your head and pretend that never happened. That team, to me, Sirat said it too, is still good. The foundation is still there. They had circumstance after circumstance go against them, and I think trading or blowing it up, as some people have suggested, would be the absolute wrong move. You think what?
I agree with that. And I think, if we're going to, because the Raptors are so tight-lipped about anything that they want to do, all we can really look to is history. And all we've seen from Masai Ujiri and company is that they move very slowly. Patience is always something that was preached, right? So we watched the DeMar DeRozan, Kyle Lowry teams get swept 3 out of 4 years. We watched them lose to higher seeds 3 out of 4 years. Yep. And it took that happening for the 4th time. It took like that 3rd or 4th sweep to a lower seed in order for Masai Ujiri to finally make the move and make the deal. Yep. So 1 year in Tampa with all of those extenuating circumstances that you just mentioned seems a little bit too hasty for Masai Ujiri to really make a move that quickly. So I feel like he's going to, once again, be very prudent and patient, and I don't think the Raptors are going to make a move or a trade or blow anything up unless, of course, a can't-miss opportunity presents itself. If something that's going to blow you away presents itself, you gotta make that move.
All right, there are some quotes coming in from Scotty Barnes, Raptors pick. He's speaking to the media right now. He said he didn't expect anything about where he's going to be drafted. His ambition is to be one of the top players in the league. That is good for anybody's ambition. He says his offense is slept on, so he thinks he's got some things to prove offensively. He said he also likes Canadian defensive standout Lou Dort. We know he's made some fans in the NBA with his hard work and play over the course of the last couple NBA seasons as well. He knows he's got to improve on his offense. He says he wants to have that ability. And Iman, it wasn't too long ago that players were not overly thrilled to be drafted by the Toronto Raptors. It feels like there was genuine excitement. Maybe, yes, you're the 4th pick in the NBA draft. That in itself elicits natural excitement, but there are worse situations than being drafted by the Toronto Raptors and getting a chance to develop with that staff and with those coaches.
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of there's many reasons for that, but I think number one is the fact that what Masai Ujiri, what Bobby Webster, and what that organization has done to really flip this team. There's been a complete 180 in the way that the Raptors are perceived because of the development staff, because of the 905, because of the championship. It wasn't that long ago that Steve Francis was crying because the Vancouver Grizzlies drafted him. And so I think for one, the perception of Canada has changed and has come a long way, but I think more than anything, the Raptors have, with their winning and just the effect of DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Lowry and Chris Bosh and all of these players that came before these young guys have done, I think has changed the perception of the Raptors around the league.
Winning a championship would absolutely do that too, and having a guy like Masai, Bobby at the helm again, we see
and
the
Lowry having multiple-time All-Star who comes back, having DeMar DeRozan who calls the city home, all of those things I think really do help.
I'm just seeing a post that Kyle Lowry commented on. Scotty Barnes from December, where he just wrote pro. So if Kyle Lowry approves, Raptors fans should approve as well. That seems to be what the consensus should be, right? I mean, I know you approve that if Kyle Lowry approves, right?
I approve it if Kyle Lowry. I approve it if Masai Ujiri approves it. I think one of the things that the Raptors have kind of shown us in years past is the thing about the Raptors are, and this isn't just about the front office, but you can also see it throughout the team, is they're not always going to be the best. They're not the best players. They might not be the flashiest players. It's not the smartest, the prettiest in the world, right? They work the hardest. That's always been the Raptors' deal top to bottom. They work the hardest. And that's the type of players that Masai Ujiri likes, which is why you might not get that flashy offensive star. You're going to get the hard worker, the defensive, gritty grind guy. And it's why a team like the Raptors always has a sneaky pick late. It's why you're able to get the Pascal Siakams at the 27. It's why you're able to get the OG Anunoby so late. Is because they're working harder than other teams. They're scouting far and away. No one knew Bruno Caboclo's name. He didn't have a draft bio when the Raptors picked him. And like, sure, that was a miss.
Yeah, maybe that one didn't work out too well. Maybe that's not the example we go with, right? I know what you're saying.
It's a testament to how the Raptors go above and beyond in their draft process and looking far and wide beyond these other teams. So I'm willing to trust them with the Scottie Barnes pick. It feels very Raptors-esque.
That's exactly what it is, right? And that's how I know they've done some work, because sure, it's easy to look at everyone's big board and everyone's mock draft and be like, well, there's a lot of pressure for us to have to take the guy that's slotted by everybody in this slot at number 4, but we're going to just trust ourselves like we have over the course of the last 10 years. And
championship.
You found guys late. Fred VanVleet, not drafted by the way, and turned into should be an all-star in coming years. But
you'll be.
I just I get the anger and I get the frustration, because again, you see certain things and you don't see certain things. Everybody was hyped about Jalen Suggs because he had an unbelievable tournament. He's got an unbelievable personality. Fine. Scottie Barnes maybe a little bit more subdued, but I don't know, man. I see the guy dancing and being excited to get up off that table and put that Raptors hat on, and I'm like, you know what? I'm in, Scottie Barnes. I like it.
I think once like the season rolls around, I think we're going to start to see a shift. I think Raptor fans are going to come on board really early. I think it's going to happen.
And that's the problem, right? Like we have now, and then we have 2.5 months from now when actual play and practice kind of starts, right? So there's a lot of time for people to be in their feelings and get their thoughts in. But again, like I said, this is a front office that really deserves people's benefit of the doubt. And so
if any front office has earned it, it's got to be the Toronto Raptors.
Right. I agree. By the way, you're watching the NBA Draft 2021 live on Sportsnet.
Jalen Rhodes' suit, very reminiscent of that Andrew Wiggins.
It does. You know what? When you did mention that, I was going to say it kind of reminds me of Rose's right now. And I think, I don't know if that's an homage. It's definitely not an homage. We know Jalen he brings it with the fits everywhere he goes. So things are good. We appreciate all of you guys in the chat. Hey, we appreciate all the comments, regardless of what they are, in the chat as well. So thank you very much for hanging out here with us. Some things have to be done a certain way, and so we appreciate you guys are there. If you do have any questions, of course, for Iman or myself, please feel free to write them. We have somebody sifting through all of them to find the questions that can get answered, and so we will try our best to do that as well. We're going to be here for as long as we can, hanging out with all of you, and we appreciate that all of you are here hanging out, watching with us. It is one of the fun nights in the NBA calendar, and there are a bunch of them. Iman, where does draft night kind of rank amongst them for you? Because to me, regular season is good, start of free agency is unbelievable, but draft night has a different type of energy to it, no?
It does. I will say this has been the most exhausting draft night to me.
You can blame the Raptors for that, right? You can blame the Raptors for that.
Honestly, yes, with the Suggs versus the Barnes, and with Kyle Lowry's free agency pending and Masai Ujiri's free agency pending, I feel like all of our attention has been focused on Suggs and Barnes, so I'm excited to shift my attention to being nervous about those two. But draft night is always so much fun, especially to see just like the family celebrate their players like that. Their sons come up and their brothers. That's always the most exciting to me. I just love watching the family celebrate.
This is a bit of a shocker as well. Davion Mitchell going 9 to the Sacramento Kings. That is another one that's a bit off the board. I know he was projected to be in the lottery, but that was another. Again, we've seen it, right? Like the Raptors started this, where whatever you predict is not going to be what happens here right now. They couldn't even get a celebrity here. They have Scott Drew, the Baylor head coach, congratulating his own player, which I'm sure he's talked to a lot over the course of the last couple days and couple weeks. So that sucks. I'm sorry for you, Davion Mitchell. Decent fit though. The white pants. I don't know if those are white or like shiny gray.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. Is that velvet?
I don't know. It's a velvet jacket. It looks like a velvet jacket. Okay. The double chain. All right, cool. I can get down with that. It's not bad. It's okay. It's an okay
I don't mind. He rocked like a plum, knowing he was going to like a purple team. Maybe. Like, do you think that there was
He heard some
something?
things. He heard some things. Yeah. Kuminga was wearing the Warriors colors on his suit as well. So I think some of these guys know a little something that we don't, obviously. And so
Kuminga's draft suit color, I mean, he should have been bumped up 3 spots just off of that.
Big fan of like the mustard yellow, eh?
I mean, it's very Dishes and Dimes-esque.
True that. You know what? That's a wonderful point. That is a wonderful point.
It is very Dishes and Dimes-esque.
That's so good. All right, let's see what's going on here on the timeline. Again, people are going out. They're starting to adorn themselves a little bit to Barnes. He says he has some family in Canada. He says he's aware of Toronto's Jamaican heritage as well, which he's really excited about, saying his dad is Jamaican. And there's a lot of...
The food! You're not going to find better Jamaican food. Possibly in Jamaica, but outside of being in Jamaica, you're not going to find better Jamaican food.
That's funny. I'd argue that, in Toronto, they think their food is better than anywhere in the world as well, including the places of origin for some of that food, so not that bad. By the way, again, guys, we appreciate all you guys in the chat right now. Thank you for keeping that thing pumping. I can't even catch a question because you guys are talking too fast right now. Yes, no, big baseball trade as well. Listen, LA and Washington getting involved in a couple deals in the NBA and in the MLB tonight, but we're here to talk about the NBA. Here to talk about the NBA draft as well. Raptors taking Scotty Barnes at 4, passing on Jalen Suggs. There were some reports that they were looking to trade up to 3. That was likely to take Evan. It should have been a bit of an indication as to what kind of player they're looking for. Maybe Suggs was an obvious choice not to go to him once the reports started to surface that they were still talking to Cleveland up until their pick to try to get that number 3 pick. But in the end, they go with Scotty Barnes at 4. And Kyle Lowry approves, as some people are just seeing on Twitter as well. And the general rule of thumb is Kyle Lowry likes something, you should probably like it as well. Iman, listen, I asked you to wax poetically about Kyle Lowry, and you deserve to, because you are, again, the Kyle Lowry. I don't even know. Aside from his mother, you are the biggest of stands of Kyle Lowry. So, do you think Kyle Lowry is a Toronto Raptor when this season tips off? Like, I want your honest thoughts, and you can let him out. This is a safe space. I just want you to just be raw with me right now. Let's talk about this.
I don't.
Ooh, that probably hurt you to say. Did it hurt you to say it?
It did. It does. It hurt. I've been making. I do think that there is a possibility that the Raptors do keep him, but I just think that let's say the Raptors do keep him, I think we do the same song and dance we did on March 25th of this year. I think it'll be the same thing come trade deadline, where there are all those reports, and then I just think that'll continue until he does find a championship team, because that's, when a guy reaches 35 and he's still as productive as Kyle is, every contender is going to want to go after him. And I think that probably means that he's joining a contender. We've seen, the New Orleans Pelicans really sort of free up space trying to create a mock Phoenix Suns situation. They're trying to bring in a guy like Kyle Lowry. We know that Dallas, all reports are Dallas is very interested in pairing Kyle Lowry up with Luka to kind of create a makeshift version of what the Houston Rockets had with Harden and Chris Paul there in the backcourt. And I also think a guy like Kyle Lowry can really free up Kristaps Porzingis a little bit offensively and just kind of get him the touches that he needs and really sort of feed him in a way. So I think their 2-man game would be great. I would love the idea of a 2-man game between Kyle Lowry and Zion Williamson. I just think that would break the internet. That would be so much fun. And Brandon Ingram is such a fun player as well. Their defense on that team is not going to be very great. But that starting 5 that they can put out there will be something very, very special. And, the Russell Westbrook situation actually unfolds as it's supposed to, and everything does go down. That takes the Lakers out of consideration. But Dallas, Miami, Philly still, there's still a lot of options, and I kind of see, especially if the Raptors trend youngwards towards an 18, 19-year-old guy, kind of think it makes sense for Kyle Lowry to be on one of those teams.
Thoughts on this suit? Because we've got the black with the white crest, the white stripe through the arms. That's a full striped suit, by the way, the legs as well. The shirt is doing a lot, in my opinion, with the diagonal cross there. So we'll wait till that camera angle cuts back to him with Adam Silver here, because
minimalist referee.
Foot Locker gauche, right? Like this is
Yeah, yeah, like couture Foot Locker. You know, that's what it's given me.
when you get the Foot Locker Employee of the Month award, this is what you
It
have.
almost feels like someone saw like a velour suit and they were like,
Oh my
"What if I
God.
made you that,
Oh my
but
God.
in a regular suit?" Or for draft day, he was like, "Our bet."
That's Memphis's pick, by the way, at number 10. That they traded JV, another former Raptor, this week to a team we were just talking about, the New Orleans Pelicans. That is another underrated part of Kyle Lowry, maybe going there. He gets to reunite with his old pick and roll partner here in Toronto, a guy that's much improved since he left Toronto as well. Again, if it's not Toronto, I just want to see Kyle Lowry with the chance to create highlight reel plays everywhere. And I think Dallas has that potential. And my God, just picturing him waiting.
Give me Zion or Luka. I'm not interested in the Heat. I'm not interested in any of those other teams in Philly. Daryl Morey, you had your chance. You lost it, buddy. I'm sorry. Zion and Kyle together, or Luka and Kyle together, I just think would be so much fun. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. We appreciate, again, what's going on in the chat. We just posed a question out there. Who's your favorite pick so far? And, number 5. I mean, number 4. Scotty, or shoot, man. I had my Freudian slip as well.
You're still stuck on Jalen Suggs. You're still stuck. And I mean, all indication was that the Orlando Magic were really interested in Scotty Barnes. And I believe the Oklahoma City Thunder were really interested in Scotty Barnes. So there's still a possibility that the Raptors make a trade. You know, there's still a lot that can happen. This might not be the pick forever. Lil Wayne, interesting.
Yeah. Sorry, Iman, you cut out a little bit right at the end there, but I just do want to say to everybody in the chat, we appreciate you, 12,000 of you kicking it here with us, watching the NBA draft for absolute free on the internet here with us. So you're going to get our opinions, because that's the way it's going to have to be if you want to watch that draft for free 99 here on YouTube from anywhere in the world that you are. But we thank you for being here. We appreciate that you're here as well. And you know what? While you're here, you might as well learn something from Iman, myself, and the bunch of guests that we've got through the course of the night. And you know what? If you're interested or feel bad for the slander you've thrown in the chat, feel free to hit that like and subscribe button as well. We would appreciate the hell out of that, and we would love to have you back. We're going to try to do a bunch of NBA related things for the course of the season, and we would love to have you here with us. And by the looks of it, it would look like a lot of you would want to be here with us here as well. Iman just doing God's work, promoting the fact that we are here doing the thing, Dishes and Dimes. One of the several unbelievable talents on the Dishes and Dimes pod, Iman, is joining me here for the next, I will say, half hour or so, 20 minutes or so. It's been fun. We got her initial reaction to the Scotty Barnes pick, because that came out of nowhere. Jalen Suggs was a guy many thought would go number 4 to the Raptors. Instead, it was Scotty Barnes going to Toronto. For those who missed it, you want to provide your thoughts and perspective on that number 4 pick as well. Beyond just trust the front office, your thoughts on the player himself and what this could mean for the team.
I know everyone's heart was set on Jalen Suggs. I get it. He is kind of a surefire prospect for right now. But if we're listening to what Bobby Webster has said, he said that the Raptors are not going to draft for fit, so it's not about whether Kyle Lowry stays or goes. They're not going to be drafting who's the best player currently today. They're looking for the best long-term player, and they believe that that's Scotty Barnes. And if we're looking at, Scotty Barnes' wing size, we're looking at his wing size, we're looking at his height, if we're looking at his defensive acumen, if we're looking at the intangibles that he brings in, he very much projects as a Raptors-type player. It's the stars that we've grown to love with the Raptors. They like a hard-nosed, gritty guy. That's exactly who the Raptors are going to get in Scotty Barnes. Going to put him in the system. Shooting is something that will develop with time. We've seen it with Pascal Siakam. We've seen it with OG Anunoby, who was not projected as a good shooter when he was.
Wait, Ben Simmons has just entered the chat. He says shooting can develop in time.
Oh,
He's asking.
Sorry.
No, maybe not for everybody. Maybe not for everybody.
With some people, okay.
Maybe not for everybody.
It's not for everybody. But development also matters in the Raptors. OG Anunoby was not was not supposed to be a good shooter when he came into the league. That was one of his projected weaknesses coming into the league. And we see how that kind of turns around. And, you know, Scotty's young. He's got a long way to go. He's not a better player today than Jalen Suggs, but it's clear that the Raptors project him to be one down the line. And I'm excited for what he could be.
Awesome. We appreciate your insight and your...
I'm trying to be optimistic, guys.
I know, and I can hear it. I can hear it. No, I think that was really genuine. That came off as really, really genuine. And you know what, I appreciate
Masai. That's my response. He has earned, can I just say, like, not to disparage the previous Raptor executives, but Masai Ujiri came into a situation where a team was tapped out, they were paying the luxury, they had no lottery picks, and were the laughing stock of the league, and turned them into the best story of the last 10 years, the winningest team in the league. Not just the Eastern Conference, but the winningest team in the league within the last 7 years after coming into the worst situation in basketball. If there's one person that you should trust more than like reading a draft board, it's gotta be Masai Ujiri, because if we're going to read the 2018 draft board, Marvin Bagley was the second best player.
Yup.
In a draft where Luka and Trey in a draft with Luka and Trey, it would have been Marvin Bagley. If we were going to talk about like getting a scoring guard in 2011 when the Raptors drafted Jonas Valanciunas, we would have ended up with Brandon Knight. Looking at these draft boards, I'm sorry, but sometimes they're wrong. Let's trust the front office. They haven't steered us wrong before. No reason to doubt them right now because of what a draft board says. Because Brandon Knight was projected to go higher than Kawhi Leonard, and he did. I mean, but like,
it just proves that most of us don't know a damn thing, and that's why we trust the front office. The Raptors just tweeted out a video of their front office making the pick, and notably in that video was one Masai Ujiri. And
I was hoping you would start with that. That was my first question.
Oh my god, that's the only thing I want to talk about. But other than that, beyond that,
was Kyle?
No, Kyle's not.
I'm holding on to something.
It was the excitement that they had. They drafted Scotty Barnes, and then Masai puts his hands out to get daps from the execs on both sides, one of which was Bobby Webster. Bobby just grabs his fist like this. They're excited about this guy. And if they're excited, again, Raptors fans, I feel like you should also be relatively excited because they know a damn thing about what they're doing.
Nobody projected Scotty Barnes to go in the top 3. That's a little bit of acting from them because they had the 4th pick and he wasn't projected to go higher than that. So, I loved it, but come on, guys.
I think, again, one of the underrated parts of that is that Masai Ujiri is there. We heard Bobby Webster mention it when he spoke to the media yesterday saying, yeah, Masai and I had dinner, and I was like, I don't really believe you. Show me the receipt. Show me the meal. Show me the Instagram story of you on a date with Masai Ujiri. But now I believe it a little bit more when I see Masai in that suit saying, hey.
Faizal, can I say? He didn't just say that they had dinner. He said we had dinner and then we had breakfast. And like I say,
you know what?
As like a rom-com aficionado, I know that like dinner alone not always great, but dinner and then breakfast is a recipe for a long-term relationship. Like that's the recipe for success right there. That means long-term success. So it's the dinner and the breakfast the next morning that gives me a little bit hope that Masai Ujiri is here to stay long-term.
I'm dying because now I want to know your entire rom-com top 5. Like I want to know where
we
the
can be here forever. The draft as long as it lasts does not last.
All right, well let's go with the rom-com. What's your favorite rom-com? I'm gonna put you on the spot.
That's what I have to sit here and like debate. This is stressful. I'm gonna get all sweaty. I don't know. There's so many.
I'll give you some time. Can you
tell me yours?
My favorite rom-com?
Your favorite tier. Is there like you know how like if you listen to Masai Ujiri, he didn't say best player. He said there's tiers to this draft. So give me your tier.
Oh, I thought you meant my favorite like movie that made me cry because I have a funny story about that.
Oh yeah.
So I'll start with the TEAR one right now, okay? Where I was interviewing the Raptors a few years ago for Media Day, and I got a chance to kick it with a bunch of them, and I asked them about their movies and the last time they cried at a movie, and Jonas Valanciunas was like, I've never cried at a movie, and I was like, yo, what about The Notebook? And he's like, I didn't cry at The Notebook. I was like, Jonas, I cried in The Notebook, and he puts his arm around me, and he's like, poor kid. And he just like pats me on the back like that. He's like, poor kid. And you know what? I feel like because of that memory, I'll go with The Notebook as being, to me, the rom-com that sits at the top. You can let me know in the chat right now if you have a rom-com that stands out above the rest. But that to me is a rom-com memory because Jonas was like, yo, you're soft. I'm here to comfort you, but you're super soft for crying in
Jonas, have you
The
never
Notebook.
seen The Lion King? What do you mean
Oh,
you've never
come on,
cried in a
come on.
movie?
Come on, The Lion King, not the remake, the OG Lion
The
King.
original one. You can't cry at like a CGI lion because their eyes are just not expressive. I'm not feeling any emotion.
It's not Simba with the cartoon tears running down the bottom of his face right now. That's so funny. Charlotte made their pick as well. I think it was, what was that? Who was it? James Bouknight. That's good. Him and LaMelo are going to be fun. That team is fun. I think they made a trade as well where they traded a Plumlee brother.
They did, yeah. So they
did.
took on a Plumlee.
They took on a Plumlee.
They took on a Plumlee. So that Detroit, one of those D teams, Detroit could alleviate some salary cap.
Right?
Yeah,
Cool.
so that was just a salary dump.
Cool. All right. By the way, if you're tuning in from Canada, the Canadians just won gold in rowing in the Olympics as well. So that's medal number 11. This is a Canadian-based show, so we are here to inform you. If you're watching from around the world, hey, Canada coming for your rowing teams as well. Just like Canada's basketball team. Yeah. Just like Canada's basketball team came for your championships a couple years back as well. People are saying, yo, Masai, you're in that room. Just sign your extension right now. Sign your extension right now. But still no word on Masai.
DocuSign, I can give you my login, Masai.
If you're on the DocuSign trial and it's expired, we've got you apparently. We've got you with the pro version. Don't worry. I'm dead. That's hilarious. I never want to see DocuSign again in my life. It's funny because I was going to say I never want to see like Zoom or anything, but here we are hanging. Some people are saying The Notebook is not a rom-com.
I mean, like, there's no...
I think that's probably fair. That's probably fair.
He's just not that into you. It was the first one that came to my mind. It's like one of my faves. When Harry Met Sally, he's just not that into you.
Okay, there we go. There we go.
Those are like two that I love. There's so many. There's so many. I'd be here forever.
Me Googling is The Notebook a rom-com right now.
Here, let's do a Twitter poll. That's the only way to go about this. Is The Notebook a rom-com? Yes. No.
You know what? In hindsight, I don't think it is. I think I'm really wrong in that one.
You know what? Twitter's the only way that we will actually verify this. So I just tweeted that out. Let's find out.
Only facts on Twitter apparently, and no falsehoods there. Nothing false ever gets portrayed on Twitter.
Except for the Raptors drafting.
Except for people thinking the Raptors are going to draft them. Only that. That's hilarious. Pick 12 is in right now. It looks like the Spurs, they're on the clock. Again, no spoilers here because you're watching the draft here with us. You can wait the extra 30 or so seconds before that draft pick actually gets made. Things are going down. It's a significant one in regards to us here up north. So I'll let you guys get that pick in the next 10 seconds because this one's kind of cool. I'll just say that.
I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad at it. Also, they're both top 7 in the NBA in touches. How will they balance?
Here we go.
That is key, right? How will they balance? I like this though.
If you're Canadian, if you're from Scarborough, this pick is going to be for you. And I'm trying to get.
People might be concerned about stretching the floor.
Our producer is from Scarborough, so he's already hyped right now. He made the mistake of sitting on Twitter and seeing what went down right now. And you know what? I'm going to just cut him off my ear right now because I said no spoilers. We are not going to give you the spoilers. I didn't tell you the spoiler. I didn't let you know who the pick is. We're going to wait for Adam Silver to walk to that microphone and announce this trade right now. Keep your ears open, Canada. This is freaking gangster. Man, I really thought I'd talk.
These picks so far have kind of been all over the place based off of like projections.
Throw all your mock out the damn window because beyond the first 3, nah, everybody been damn wrong.
This is all over the place.
I love it.
There we go.
This is fun.
Josh Primo.
Josh Primo. There you go. Look at that. Scarborough.
Can we get a Primo pasta and sauce commercial in San Antonio? Can we get an HEB like connection there?
You already know he's gonna be in a grocery commercial there. That's
he's already gonna be, and if they can just stock Primo pasta sauce over there, I feel like it's a match made in heaven.
That is so good. That's a Canadian, guys, in the top 12.
And he jumped up. I'm really proud. That's exciting.
I'm trying to look at where he was mocked, and I don't see a lot of people having him that early. A lot of people had him in the 20s.
I'm seeing in the 20s.
Yeah, late 20s, early second round kind of selection for Josh Primo. But hey, Greg Popovich, again, a guy that deserves some benefit of the doubt. He's found some players in the draft, you know, and why not with the Canadian as well? That makes
CBS had him going in the second round.
Yeah, that has me excited though. That has me excited.
I mean, yeah, and the Spurs, once again, that's another sort of, yeah, like you just said, another organization that deserves the benefit of the doubt. Yeah. There aren't that many. If the Sacramento Kings were out here doing it, we would be saying something different, but the Spurs deserve that.
I agree. That's funny. All right, we are. This draft, it just takes so damn long sometimes. I know a lot has gone down. We're not even halfway through, and we're almost an hour and a half into this thing right now, hitting the close to 9:20 mark, and we're only at pick 13 with the Indiana Pacers set to draft next. Oh, it's been fun, eh? It's been fun, Iman, right? Like watching this thing go down. It's been chaos everywhere.
It's so chaotic. I mean, the NBA is nothing if not entertaining.
Correct. And maybe on this night more than any night. Again, I should say, free agency is pretty nutty as well. The money that gets thrown around on day one, hour one of free agency is really unbelievable to see. And I imagine it'll be the case this year as well with some decent names out there, including a guy like Lowry, Chris Paul, not locked up by Phoenix there right now. But Primo,
you don't get the dramatics of, you know, Blake Griffin taking a photo of a chair blocking the door to keep Mark Cuban from finding DeAndre Jordan in the middle of a draft. You know what I mean? You can't get that fun stuff. You can't, you know, chase, LeBron James around in a helicopter. That stuff doesn't exist in the draft. But, you know, the draft is also very, very fun because all sorts of things can happen. And if one team makes a trade, you know that it's going to set everybody else off.
Amazing. We should let you guys know as well, Dave McMenamin from ESPN will be joining us a little bit later as well to help break down some of the craziness of this night, maybe have a little bit more perspective on the Raptors pick, and he'll definitely have some insight into what the Los Angeles Lakers are trying to do and how they make the Russell Westbrook, Anthony Davis, and LeBron James big three work. He'll be coming up not too far from now, maybe in the next 10 or 15 minutes. By the way, you are watching the 2021 NBA Draft live on Sportsnet. If you are here, we would appreciate if you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button as well. For all the hate in the chat, the least you could do is show us a little bit of love for giving you an opportunity to watch the draft for absolutely $0, for free, baby. You can watch this for $0.00, no tax, no Canadian duties, no surcharges, no nothing. You just turn on this page and watch the draft. You have to listen to us talk, fine. Look at the shoes in the back, count them, doesn't matter. Subscribe to Dishes Dimes Pod, by the way, on Twitter. Dishes Dimes Pod, at Dishes Dimes Pod on Twitter, by the way. You want to be following the crew there. Outstanding work in your
Most of them are crying over Jalen Suggs.
Yeah, I know. I'm watching the timeline. Like you gotta hold it down for them.
I'm trying to be the contrarian. Trying to be a voice of reason. Barnes did say that the Toronto immersion room. He basically said it was a really nice city. It's beautiful, and he really wants to go see it himself in person. So I would love to know what is in that room.
I really want to know, and you know what? I'm gonna ask Bobby Webster.
They should have are they I feel like that is the pressing question more than Scotty Barnes. It's like what did you put in that room? What got in there?
By the way, round 2 coverage on Sportsnet 360, Sportsnet Central will have some stuff in the morning for you going on with regards to the NBA draft, and Sportsnet's YouTube page will have the latest as well. So be sure again to subscribe if you want to be in the know with what is going on right now. All right, what would be the craziest thing to happen tonight, Iman? What would be the craziest trade that you can hypothetically come up with at this moment?
Like realistic craziest trade, not like the craziest
yes,
trade.
A little bit more practical. A little bit.
Okay,
you know what?
so
Let's start with practical, and then we'll let you go with your dream trade scenario.
I can't get a LeBron James to the Toronto Raptors somehow. Like that's not a thing.
How would you do it?
Fred and whatever. Like just you make the money work.
All right, you make the money work.
You make the money work. But I think that it's Ben Simmons. Like all indication seems to be pointing to Ben Simmons, just in terms of like the most realistic crazy thing to happen would be a Ben Simmons trade. With Russell Westbrook leaving, you almost feel like Beal has to go. He's not going to like, is he like really Wall left, Beal left? I mean, Westbrook leaves and then Beal stays. So I kind of feel like a deal centered around Beal and Simmons might be something that's really interesting. I also think like, I know Dame has been saying on Twitter that he's not going to go anywhere.
Yeah.
Maybe that seems a little less likely. It kind of feels, you know what, for maximum chaos, Dame moving today, I mean, is maximum chaos based off the tweets that he's been tweeting.
Yes.
But I do think that a deal centered around Simmons seems like the most realistic crazy move. But you know, ideally Shea comes to the Raptors. If we're talking about like
let's talk dreams and hopes here now, right?
Yes, if it's like a, you know, that Scottie Barnes pick gets moved, and you're looking for whatever it is that who do you move? What do you realistically do? Do you involve a third team? Are we bringing in a third team? Is there anything that, do you think Scottie Barnes was projected as a player that the OKC Thunder were very high on?
It would be really incredible, Raptors, to have this guy, trot him out there and talk to the media, put the hat on, get excited and be like, by the way, we're shipping you out for Shea.
Switch hats really quickly. And to me, I find it very ludicrous that there's this idea that Shea doesn't fit with the OKC timeline because he's only 23. I mean, how is a 23-year-old too old for any sort of timeline?
Doesn't make sense.
And it would be great. Like, you know, you have to kind of learn from your mistakes. And what we saw was Sam Presti trading away James Harden because he didn't want to pay James Harden, who is once again this sort of elite young guard who the sky is the potential, the ceiling. What is the saying? I don't know what the saying is, but you guys know what I mean. With him, this insane, like, talented ball handler and scorer and just offensive threat, to trade away James Harden and then to do it very similarly with Shea because we don't want to pay him. So once again, this sort of haul of picks and whatnot feels a little crazy. It feels like history repeating itself there, but he does kind of, I think that they're looking at timelines in terms of contract and money, and Shea will be closer to his next deal by the time the 19-year-olds that they have on the roster right now are entering their next deal, right? So just in terms of like money and contract, I do get it. I think personally it would be crazy. Shea is an incredibly talented player. I think the sky's really the limit with that kid.
I want him so bad. Yeah.
And I would love to have him on the Toronto Raptors. I have never been a fan of this idea of blowing it up for the Raptors or going in a different direction, but if it's to get a player like Shea, I can understand moving past a guy like Pascal Siakam. I can understand kind of shifting the direction of the team because I do think Shea is just that valuable and just that good, and pairing him alongside OG Anunoby could be something very special for the Raptors in years to come.
I just feel like if you're, you know, making Pascal Siakam the centerpiece of that trade going the other way, you need another team because OKC, if they don't want to pay anybody, they're not going to. They're not
taking on Pascal. That's where the third team comes in, which is where like the suggestion of a Wiseman and a Wiggins and the 7 and 14 come into play, because that 7 and 14, although 7 was already taken, who did they take? Did they take Kuminga?
They took Kuminga, and they're about to take
Kuminga once again, an 18, 19-year-old that OKC Thunder is very high on, a type of player that they really like if we're looking at their sort of draft scenarios. So Scottie Barnes, a pick that they really like. Kuminga would be a pick that they really like. 14, I think, is coming up very soon. So it would make sense that that's a deal that could happen. That would be my ideal because I love Shea so much. And if we're going to bring any Canadian over, let it be Shea.
I agree. That guy reeks superstar to me. And I think that potential, like you said, is through the roof, and he's just cool as hell. Like, and I think that plays a part in my affection for players. Like, he's just cool, man. And I know that sounds stupid coming from me, a guy that's not. But yes.
So, like, even just watching him, there's something really incredibly fluid to his game where it's just so effortless and exciting that he looks cool as he's playing basketball, which is sometimes a very difficult thing to do. You know what I mean?
You're 100% correct.
Like, I love Kyle so much. Kyle looks like he's working very hard when he's out there, right? Like, it's not this, like, effortless kind of cool vibe as he's going through. Oh, he's eating the microphone.
You can win my heart over with any shot of a baby. And a baby eating a microphone, oh my God. I am, oh, that's so cute. That's Chris Duarte.
Oh, he's got a wine color suit on too, which I think pairs well with the Pacers colors. Are people, here we go. The pick is in. The pick is in for the Warriors.
Pick is in.
Is this going to OKC? Are my wildest dreams coming true? And a three-way deal.
Here's Adam Silver.
And you know what? The Warriors could really use a guy like Pascal Siakam in that as well, like just in completing that deal.
Moses Moody.
It's
like a strong dude. The all-black look as well. The Cade Cunningham don't want to be memed in 20 years for looking stupid look. So I respect it.
It is. It's very. He's not. But he's got like a silk shirt underneath, because that may be.
Yeah.
That's adding a little bit of flair.
No tie, no top button done. He's just like, yo, you get what you get and you don't get upset. It's hot in here. I need to let this chest breathe a little bit.
It's very smooth. If he wore the bell bottoms that Jalen had on today, if he just paired that with a little bit of bell bottoms, we would have a full look here. It'd be very 70s, and I would be for it.
That's so funny. I should mention,
this is the look that you wear when you don't know what team you're going to, because it fits with any color scheme. You put on any hat and you look fine.
Amazing. Chris Duarte, by the way, the 13th pick, he was also born in Canada. He did he was raised in the Dominican Republic, but he was born in Montreal. He then moved and played basketball in New York. But we can claim him for now. That's two Canadians, by the way, back-to-back. Josh Primo and Chris Duarte going 12 and 13 in the draft. Canadian adjacent, if people are going to get really, really mad about it. But hey, just as disheartening as it was to see Canada not make the Olympics this year, we know the talent.
How good that team could be.
Yeah, I know. And if everybody else playing like Shea.
So well, and I mean, if you're just looking at how the U.S. team is faring right now, like it's very difficult. These all international teams are so good and so talented, and there's so much talent coming from just outside of America, which is something to celebrate. And I mean, like the effort that our guys put out there was spectacular and so much fun to watch. And when you get Jamal Murray healthy, and when you get Shea, and when you're adding in the new names, this team is going to be very special for years to come.
Just want to see them do it on the big scale. It's a lot to talk about, and we've been talking about it for years. And yes, this is the best iteration of Canadian players that have been in the league in forever. My God, please, I just want to see you all on a roster. And we know how committed a lot of them were. Jamal Murray got hurt. He couldn't play. A couple guys, Chris Boucher was nursing an injury. His presence would have been unbelievable in the middle of that defensive lineup there. That's all they needed was a guy with a big body.
Such a heartbreaking.
Oh, my God.
It's still a sore spot for me. But everyone, just Lou Dort, all of the effort that those guys put out there was just. And you know what? Team USA has been tampering golds for most American teams. Even if it's not netting us gold in the Olympics right now, the way Nick Nurse has access to a lot of players is only going to be great for the Raptors. And the more Raptors that you put on there, I mean, let me just say, it bodes well that Shea Gilgeous has a relationship with Nick Nurse, and it bodes well that Jamal Murray has a relationship with Nick Nurse and Lou Dort and everyone else that's coming up under the ranks.
Oh, amazing. And I might have got that Chris Duarte thought wrong. He was born in the Dominican, raised in Montreal, is what I'm being told. So my apologies for that. But still, it's still claimed. We're still claiming the Canadian ties to him. And for such a long time, we had to, because there wasn't a lot of Canadian love in the NBA. But now, up and down every roster, you'll see a player or two, if not more, in the makeup of teams' roster constructions, because there are so many good players. We've gotten to a point, Iman, where you're cutting NBA players from rosters on the world stage because of how talented that group is. Again, when healthy, of course, I should say, because not everybody was at their best capabilities for contributing this summer, and that is understandable given the weirdness of the last season and how quickly things transitioned from NBA season ending and NBA season starting, I should say, post-bubble, and then NBA season ending and the last chance qualifiers in Victoria going down. But again, the nucleus is there for years to come, and hopefully
it's no surprise that a player like Jamal Murray had a freak injury. I mean, if we're looking at some of the teams that went far in the bubble, a lot of them were dealing with major injuries the following year, right? Teams that went to the conference finals, Jaylen Brown for the Boston Celtics was out. Up and down, we can talk about like who.
We lost Kawhi too, right? Like Kawhi got hurt.
Kawhi got hurt
at the end there.
A lot of teams that, I mean, Anthony Davis, NBA champion, went down. We just saw it. It was the shortest turnaround ever in NBA history from one season to the next, and we know that rest matters in keeping guys healthy.
Love it. We appreciate all of you guys.
How nervous families get. It's about to be time. It's so exciting to watch their celebration.
Adam Silver right now is taking a moment to acknowledge the passing of Terrence Clark. Maybe we'll let you guys. Maybe we'll let you guys listen into this for a hot second before we come back here.
That with the next pick in the 2021 NBA draft, the NBA selects Terrence Clark from the University of Kentucky.
If you're just tuning in, the NBA honoring the late Terrence Clark, who passed away before the draft at the age of 19 in LA, will let it ride for a couple more minutes and take you into this moment here and some insights into why here from the reporter.
He was so ready for it, so excited. That's all he talked about, just going to the draft. Like, Mommy, am I ready for this? This is big, like. And I'm like, yes, Terrence, you wouldn't have been in this position if people didn't think you were this good.
A foundation has been set up in Terrence Clark's name.
No time to be standing still.
A really nice moment there by the NBA and Adam Silver. We know in the past they've chosen this platform to acknowledge some players that had some of their dreams taken away either by medical issues or tragedies like that of Terrence Clark, a guy very much projected to be drafted on this night, a guy that meant a lot to the city of Boston and the state of Massachusetts, and just
a lot of the young men being drafted today as well.
It's true. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And when the news came out of his passing in April, a lot of people were shocked because this was a guy on the cusp of seeing his dream come true, and a guy that's touched a lot of people and a lot of communities as well. And a really nice moment there by the NBA. All right, we've got to make the uncomfortable transition back to what's going on after that really nice moment from Adam Silver and the NBA. We're with Ivan from Dishes and Dimes on the pod. If you're watching, we appreciate you kicking it on the NBA Draft 2021 live on Sportsnet. If you want to be so kind and hit that like and hit that subscribe button, it would very much be appreciated. Your thoughts so far on the night that was. What was the biggest shock to you, and was it the Raptors pick given what everybody had said was going to happen at 4, Ivan?
Yeah, it was. It was because it seemed like it was just going to be Suggs and we were going to get the status quo. I mean, I guess you should never really expect the unexpected when it comes to Masai Ujiri and Bobby Webster and the Toronto Raptors is what we should learn. Anything after Bruno Caboclo, we should just throw everything else out. But to me, that was the biggest surprise. Is that not? There hasn't been any sort of trade that is like maybe Russell Westbrook to the Lakers. Is that the craziest moment of tonight for you?
Well, I should say we have maybe 30 seconds left here. OKC just made a trade. They're trading the 16th pick to Houston, and that is not major in any way. It is minor, minor, minor. But Iman, we got to run shortly, so I'll let you get your final thoughts off, get some promo in for Dishes and Dimes, and we appreciate you so much joining us today. Get him off.
Thank you so much for having me on. My name is Iman, @_notename on Twitter, and I am a co-host of Dishes and Dimes. It is a group of 7 women who cover the NBA. We all have opposing views, and we came together because we saw a need, a space to fill where, we didn't find our voices represented in media. And we decided, instead of waiting for anyone else to sort of give us a shot, let's all come together and let's put out a podcast. And it's been a lot of fun doing it. And we're 7 people, so our opinions are going to be all over the place. We're rotating, so you're not going to hear all 7 of us every single episode. And we will be in Summer League, so check out for some really fun Vegas content. But thank you so much for joining, for having me join you today. And yeah, guys, please check out Dishes and Dimes @DishDimesPod on Twitter.
And we're hoping that we can collab more Sportsnet X Dishes and Dimes together as well. The content they put out is unbelievable. @Dishes Dimes Pod on Twitter. Iman, very much at the forefront of that. Thank you so much for joining us, Iman. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
All right, we're going to take a quick break here. Dave McMenamin from ESPN on the other side to help put some context to what's been going on tonight and look ahead to what can go on in free agency. We will see you in a hot second.
With the Wizards on the clock.
Do I just close? Am I done?
Yeah. Iman, thank you so much.
Peace. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Exactly. Yep.
Oh, man. All right. No worries, Graham. As soon as this ESPN commercial is over, Dave, we are back.
Oh, okay. I was just putting in
Sorry.
the chat in case. Okay,
sorry, yeah.
Yep.
All right. Not yet. Sorry, Dave. I got a hand signals to my producers now because I muted him on the other side. Don't worry.
Okay. How far out? Because I maybe move this slide to get so I'm not so.
We're coming back. We're coming back.
Okay.
Right now.
All right.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. We are back. It's the NBA Draft live on Sportsnet on our YouTube page. Sorry about that. Some technical difficulties in the background as always, but we appreciate all of you that are still hanging out with us. Tell a friend to tell a friend that the rest of the first round will be here as well. And if you're here, feel free to like and subscribe. We've got Dave McMenamin from ESPN here with us. Actually, Dave, part of the problem is your last name is too long. We couldn't get your name fit into the font there. So you are just Dave right now, but anybody that sees the face and knows the name knows exactly who you are, one of the premier NBA reporters across the league right now. We are thrilled to have you with us, Dave. How have you found draft night so far? Because to me, it's been relatively surprising in terms of who's been picked where.
Well, to me, it felt more like trade day than draft night because of the activity that we saw leading up to the first pick. But certainly the way the picks have gone down, nothing that really shocked me. The Scotty Barnes pick being as high as he went, that was somewhat surprising because Suggs was so good at Gonzaga, but at the same time, you look at what Toronto has, and you already have a commitment to Fred VanVleet over a long term, and he's an undersized guard, and to pair him with an undersized guard, maybe not the best idea. We're seeing Cleveland going through that right now with Darius Garland and Colin Sexton, so that pairing size-wise with Barnes seems to make a lot of sense.
So you mentioned trade day, one involving the team in which plays in the city in which you reside, I should say. The LA Lakers, at least reported trade, I should say right now, because I think it's official until it's actually official. But Russell Westbrook to the Lakers is being reported for Kyle Kuzma, Montrezl Harrell, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, first-round pick as well. A trade that kind of came out of nowhere for maybe the casuals. Did you foresee something like this maybe happening?
Sometime during the NBA Finals, I was covering the Suns for SportsCenter down here in the States. I checked in with some Lakers sources. I realized, it's been a couple weeks, and I had been so involved in the NBA playoffs that I hadn't seen what was going on. And a team source had told me that Westbrook was at the top of their target list, and it was kind of like, okay, like he's Southern California native. Certainly he's someone that LeBron has long respected, but it didn't make a ton of sense. And at this stage, it still doesn't make a ton of sense to me. There has to be another shoe to drop because the Lakers at this stage, yes, they have a so-called big three, if you want to call it that, with LeBron and Anthony Davis and Russell Westbrook. But you send out three assets to get Russell Westbrook, including your most reliable shooter, a guy in Kentavious Caldwell-Pope who was lights out in the Lakers playoff run in the bubble, and you get back a guy who can't shoot. And that's the very micro analysis here, and I'm sure there's other layers that provide, an asset in terms of Russell Westbrook. I actually had one agent reach out to me and said, well, it could be pretty entertaining on a night-to-night basis to see him get into Anthony Davis. But actually, maybe that could be a good thing, because Anthony Davis, most folks would agree, hasn't reached the utmost pinnacle that he could be. And then I guess the other thing, it could be a good thing, but also you're recognizing that it's filling in for a bad thing, is that this would allow LeBron James to not have to go full throttle during the regular season, because you have a guy who can do that in his stead. But are we saying LeBron in year 18 is not planning on playing 82 games? And what do the Lakers look like if he doesn't? And so there's a lot of question marks right now.
It's interesting because, the spacing doesn't work. You're right. And there was a report of the Buddy Hield deal almost being done before. And a lot of people feel like that almost made a little bit more sense. Yes, it's not the cachet name like Russell Westbrook, not the MVP, not the All-Star, but it's a guy that fit a need maybe a little bit better for the Lakers. Is that fair to say or no?
Absolutely. I texted with a Western Conference head coach shortly before I jumped on with you, and he said those things exactly. He said Buddy would have been a perfect fit with LeBron and Anthony Davis. He's four spaces. He can catch and shoot. He can create his own shot off the dribble. And that was a major need for the Lakers last year. If you watch that Suns series, they were obviously decimated by Anthony Davis's groin injury, but beyond that, their outside shooters were inconsistent. And Buddy Hield, yes, he hasn't won a ton of games up in Sacramento, but you don't win in this league without talent around. Sometimes people get labeled that. For instance, Kevin Love, Kyrie Irving never played in a playoff game, never won a playoff game before LeBron James joined the Cleveland Cavaliers. That core made it to 4 straight finals and won a championship because they had the right pieces as a whole. Buddy Hield, I felt like would have been a wonderful fit. And now the question becomes, what do they do with Dennis Schroeder? Are they going to just have him walk for nothing? You can't really re-sign him and play him with Russell Westbrook, I would suggest. And so perhaps that is the missing piece here that will make all this make sense. That they're going to move Schroeder for somebody else that'll make this a more cogent unit, because right now it doesn't seem to fit.
So curious as to what happens with the rest of the league. We see deals like this, we're like, oh my God, this team can't do this team can't do this, without realizing that free agency hasn't technically even opened yet. We're still so many weeks away from the start of the season. Is there a player you have in mind that you think is the next one to be traded? I think the obvious one is Ben Simmons, given some of the reports right there, but it seems like if Daryl Morey's asking price is that high for a guy like Ben Simmons, maybe he's not dealt sooner than later.
Yeah, I mean, it was telling tonight that we saw the Golden State Warriors take and use both of their first-round picks at number 7 and number 14, because there was so much talk around they would be a player here. And you could package Wiggins' big salary with those picks, and maybe you sweeten the deal with James Wiseman, who, when healthy last year, showed some flashes of brilliance. But the fact that they didn't do it, that takes a player off the board.
Yeah.
Okay, you look around, what teams have assets stockpiled? Yeah, OKC certainly does. But OKC tonight, the moves they made, it seems like they are not in win now mode at all. They are staying young. They are staying lean. They are waiting for their moment. And so I don't see a path forward with the Sixers and Ben Simmons. I covered them in the second round of playoffs.
Yeah.
It was complete catastrophe the way they fell apart against the Hawks. They lose a game where they're up 26 points. They lose a game they're up 18 points. And you throw in the fact that Joel Embiid threw him under the bus.
Well, that's what I was going to say. The optics are so weird because, one, it seems like they can't get in touch with him, so he doesn't want to hear from them. 2, we heard not only his coach, Doc Rivers, talk a little bit bad about him, but Joel Embiid as well. I feel like there's no way he can come back to training camp with that team and everyone can pretend things were all good.
Yeah, Faze, you're completely right. And so if it doesn't happen in the first week of free agency, it could be one of those things where it lingers into the summer. It could be Kyrie Irving a couple years ago before he's traded to Boston, where the deal isn't consummated for 6 or 7 weeks into the offseason. Certainly that could be the case, but he's the name you look towards. You know, I was curious about Russell Westbrook having that trade when it becomes official. What happens to Bradley Beal? But as of right now, I believe I saw a report that Beal is still content with staying. Okay,
staying there, sure.
So then the question, okay, who's the next guy up? Dame Lillard. It's got to be, right?
Yeah.
And Lillard has pushed back at a report from Henry Abbott of True Fruit suggesting that he would take a pay cut in order to facilitate a deal. Okay, that's fine. And that could have been an inaccurate report. But it doesn't mean that he doesn't want out at some point. And there's just been a lot of speculation around him, starting with the fact that he named who he wanted to have his head coach in Jason Kidd, which is an unprecedented move. I've been covering the league for 16 years. I can't recall ever
just picking this coach,
player,
right? Yeah.
And putting his name to it. Like sometimes you see a report and it says sources, and you're like, that probably came from the lead player on that team, but never to that extent. So to me, it almost sets up the dominoes. Well, I asked for Jason, you didn't give me Jason. Now I have a reason to have a beef with the franchise, and I can use that to kind of spin my way out of town. And again, we're talking here, we're speculating. I'm not reporting that I've heard that's imminent, but that's a name where there's been a lot of smoke, and so you'd assume there's going to be fire.
There is a minor trade right now. The Knicks trading the 19th pick to Charlotte for a future first-round pick. Sure. Okay, cool. It looks like Charlotte's going to target. K. Jones, as Adrian Wojnarowski is reporting. I said no spoilers. Sorry, everybody in the chat right now. I said I wouldn't spoil any of the picks. That's my one. I apologize. There's another report right now with regards to Alonzo Ball. It looks like there's a few teams interested in his services. Obviously, not surprising. Bulls, Celtics, Raptors expected to be interested in Lonzo Ball. For the Raptors, it makes sense if there's a sign and trade maybe with Kyle Lowry, but Lonzo is a guy that's improved significantly, I feel, over the last couple of years, especially with the shooting, and could be an asset to a lot of teams.
Absolutely. I covered him in his second year in LA, and obviously that was an I guess it was his third season in LA. The 1 year he played with LeBron, ill-fated. He had ankle injuries. That team was in win now mode, but their young core wasn't quite ready for it. But his professionalism remained. And he's someone who made the best of a situation he asked for in New Orleans. They made a legitimate run at making the playoffs. They fell just short, but I think has shown enough, and he's still so young, that's an asset that, like, people like to call a distressed asset, where you put it in the right situation, you get back to what he can do, which is top level floor vision, ability to grab long defensive rebounds and turn it into transition opportunities. As you mentioned, his shooting has gotten a lot better, and quite frankly, he came into the league with the idea that, this kid's a distraction because of his father. But no, he doesn't bring any of that. He's very low key away from the game, and what he cares about is the game. And the true great players, I mean, there are some guys who are just so physically gifted, it doesn't matter where their heart is. But the true great players, it's a passion, it's a lifelong avocation for them. And Lonzo has that. And so, to me, there's greatness in store for him. And whether it's going to be the next stop or some further stop down in his career, someone with that high-level comprehension of the game, they're pretty rare, and they usually find a way to implement that into a championship or something along those lines.
At the very least, they find a way to stick around for a very long time as well, and just make winning plays consistently over the course of their career. We only have about a minute left. If there was a team that was primed to make the most noise this offseason, Dave, who would that team be in your eyes?
Well, we touched on it earlier, but I still think it's Golden State.
Yeah.
Because you have Steph Curry coming off arguably an MVP season, Klay Thompson coming back healthy, you have Draymond, but then you have these pieces. And what are you going to do with Kelly Oubre? What are you going to do with Andrew Wiggins? You have these young guys like Jordan Poole who have shown that they have a little bit that other teams could be interested on the open market. And you got to be in win now mode. That's a team that came off 5 straight NBA Finals. You owe it to Steph Curry not to waste any of his prime years that are left. And so, to me, that's the team. As I mentioned, they did pick those guys. They picked Kuminga. They picked Moses Moody with their first-round picks. But those were two guys who were universally revered in this draft. So I don't think they'll have that much hard time moving them versus if you took a guy who was more of a specialist, it could be a harder guy to move. So I think the Warriors still have a very busy summer ahead.
Dave, listen, we appreciate your time. Couldn't get the last name in, but we got the Twitter handle there. It's at MC10, at Mick10 on Twitter. It's one of the reporters you should be absolutely following in the midst of all the NBA action that's going to happen over the next couple weeks and couple months. Always appreciate your insights and your thoughts, man. Thank you so much for kicking it with us for a bit.
You got it. Happy to join you, Faze.
Thanks, Dave. Take care.
Yes, sir.
That is Dave McMenamin of ESPN. Thank you to everybody that was hanging out with us here on our NBA Draft 2021 live watch party on Sportsnet's YouTube page. If you are here, hit the like and subscribe button. We are going to be doing a ton more through the course of the NBA season. If you are looking for the rest of the draft now, you can find it in Canada on Sportsnet 360 or Sportsnet Now. Again, we appreciate every single one of you that joined us here tonight. That will do it for our coverage of the NBA Draft, and we will see you very, very soon. Take care, everyone.